Hello, so I'm going to attempt something interesting in this video. I'm going to attempt to re-dye some camouflage. So what I have here is an old either Yugoslavian or Serbian military jacket in the Oakleaf Camo, I believe it's called. I really like this pattern, but unfortunately it seems all of it's faded, and I'm pretty sure a couple of people either from Serbia or Croatia were telling me that the problem was that when these were made they didn't use very good dyes on them. So obviously when you get them as surplus, like most camos fade over time, these are just particularly faded. So I've got two of these jackets. One of them's got emblems on and that, and this one's just the regular one. So what I was going to do is, because this one's not got any emblems on, and you know it's already faded and kind of useless as a camo anyway, I'm going to attempt to dye it. So this might be quite interesting, because I've not seen many videos where people have attempted to actually dye, you know, actual camos still in camo colours. Generally when I've seen people dye camo, they dye it black for some reason. I really don't know why. Because what's the point of buying actual camo to dye it black and then not have a camo pattern anymore? Just so you can have a black jacket where you could have bought one anyway. Anyway, that confuses me. There might be some logic to it, that people like the particular cut of a certain jacket but don't want it in camo, they want it in black or whatever. I have seen some people dye that awful UCP, Universal Camouflage pattern, known as ACU, but that's actually Army Combat Uniform, but ACU, UCP, you know what I mean. That horrible grey camo. I've seen that some people have actually dyed that brown and sort of green colours, and then it actually becomes a workable camo. So in theory, what should happen will be, when I dye this, the camo pattern should still be obvious. It should just be everything goes greener, so the brown will be probably a bit darker. Because as far as I'm aware, if you use a dye it will always get darker, which is why I didn't want to go for a dark green or a dark brown. As far as I'm aware, obviously, everything will just go darker because you're adding colour to it. So what should happen, hopefully, is that maybe, like you can see there, that green where it's not so faded, maybe the jacket will go a similar shade of that. Now, I don't think there's actually enough dye in this packet for this jacket, because this is quite a heavy, big cotton jacket. As far as I'm aware, it's cotton anyway. And this is, I think, for like dyeing a single t-shirt. However, I don't want to obviously over-dye this, so that's kind of what I want. I'll try one packet. If that works well, I'll order some more. You know, if it's not necessarily dyed enough, but it looks a good colour, I'll order some more and do it. But I think the results will be interesting, so I'm not going to bore you and film myself doing the entire dye process. There's lots of tutorial videos on YouTube for how to dye clothes by hand. What I'm going to simply do is follow the instructions on the packet as best I can, and see if I actually get something workable from this. So there you go, this is what the jacket looks like at the moment, and then obviously next time the video starts, hopefully we have a better camouflage jacket. We'll hope anyway. Okay, so update on the jacket. It's been dyed and it's come out fairly well. Not quite as green as I was hoping, but there you go. Hopefully you might be able to see the difference now. Now this is pretty dry, so it's not like it's damp and darker because it's damp, but this does actually look more like the colours it's meant to be now. A good way of showing you a comparison, I don't think it's dyed quite evenly though, because there are bits of this where you can see some of the paler colours and other bits where the greens are more green. One of the easy ways you can actually tell it's dyed properly is the inside of the jacket is now actually green, where it was like a grey before. But as I had two of these jackets, let me hold up a comparison so you can see both of them next to each other. This is obvious. You can hopefully see just how greener tinted this one is now. It's far less faded, and as I was saying, is if you check the insides of them, you'll see on this one that it's obviously gone a lot greener on the inside. So, by comparison, yes, much happier with this now. It might actually work as an effective camouflage perhaps, or it might need another dyeing still. I left that in there for about 3 hours because after an hour it clearly not picked up enough dye. It might be again a material that's not quite brilliant at picking up dyes, but as said, I do think that looks better. You can see kind of on the shoulder cuff there that the green isn't the same sort of deep tint as other places on the jacket. Again, I think that was sort of how it was in the bucket, because I bought, as I said, like not a washing machine dye, but the one where you do it in a bucket or a sink. And although it was quite a big bucket, I don't think it was quite big enough to have a big jacket like this and stir it properly, so that might be why it's not consistently or not worked as well as possible. So if I do it again, I might even go for a darker dye because I assume it'll pick that up better, but I might also try the washing machine dye and see how that comes out, because that's probably the easier way of doing it. I've just heard with washing machine dyes you have to be careful that your rinse cycle on your machine works well with the stuff you put in, otherwise it can drain out the dye too quickly and it's, you know, a waste of money. But in some places the greens are pretty green on this now. The browns are fairly effective as well, so yeah, there we go. I would say that is a much more effective camouflage jacket now. That's the jacket on. Hopefully you can see the colours fairly well with it like that. And then I can just obviously hold this up next to it and you will see that obviously this one is much greener now in comparison, less greyed out. So yeah, that might be good enough. I'm not going to immediately re-dye it if I try it again, but definitely re-dyeing faded camos seems to work quite well. Again, you're not going to get the original colours out of the camouflage by doing this, however what you will hopefully get is a better colour palette for actually working. So if you've got some old faded woodland camouflage or something like that, using a shade of green or a shade of brown dye should at least get, you know, a working camo pattern out of it again. So yeah, quite pleased with that. For what it is, I think it's worked well, and I do like the pattern and the cut of this jacket. But obviously, yeah, it is what it is, and you can certainly use dyes, it seems, to refresh camouflages that have faded from UV exposure and lots of washing. Especially like some of the greens there, they're actually properly what I'd call green now.